Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama barakta ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma ya muqallibul qulub sabbit qalbi ala dinik. Ameen. Today we'll do the fourth part of Surah Nur, and in this we will complete inshallah from verse number 46 till 64. لقد أنزلنا آيات مبينات والله يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم ويقولون آمنا بالله وبالرسول وأطعنا ثم يتولى فريق منهم من بعد ذلك وما أولئك بالمؤمنين وإذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم إذا فريق منهم مؤردون وإن يكن لهم الحق يأتوا إليه مذعنين وفي قلوبهم مرض أم ارتابوا أم يخافون أن يخيف الله عليهم ورسوله بل أولئك هم الظالمون. Translation, verse number 47. They say that we believe in Allah and the Messenger and we obey. Therefore, a group from them turns away. These are not believers. 48. When they are summoned to Allah and His Messenger so that He may decide between them, a party from them are suddenly averse. 49. If any of their rights are due, they would come to Him willingly. 50. Is there a disease in their hearts? Are they doubtful, or do they fear that Allah and His obstacle will oppress them? Nay, they are indeed the oppressors. We have certainly revealed clearly explicit signs. These signs are self-explanatory and need no further elucidation to reveal that they point to Allah's divinity. However, there are still those who refuse to hearken and wander further astray, because Allah guides whomsoever He wills to the straight path. To fully understand the following four verses, one should be aware of a few incidents. One of these are stated in the commentary of verse 60 and 61 of Surah Nisa, where Allah says, "Have you seen those who claim to believe in that which was revealed to you and to those before you, yet they seek judgment from Shaitan, whereas they have been instructed to reject him. Shaitan derives to mislead them for astray when it is said to them, come to that which Allah has revealed and towards the Messenger. You will see the hypocrites turning from you with aversion." The incident related to this verse concerned a hypocrite by the name of Bishr. Ruhul Mani reports an incident about a hypocrite by the name of Mughira bin Wail, who had a dispute with Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu concerning a piece of land. The two eventually settled in dispute and were happy to distribute the land between themselves. It later transpired that Mughira requested Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu to sell him his portion of the land. Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu told it to him, and the two concluded the deal amicably. It was only later that someone indoctrinated Mughira into believing that that the land was salty and uncultivable. Mughira came back to Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu and asked him to revoke the deal and refund the price to him. Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala told him that he was unable to do so, and the Mughira had purchased the land with knowledge of its condition. Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala then offered to refer the matter to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for judgment. Mughira refused to go to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam hated him and would oppress him. It was then that the above verses were revealed. Although the incident concerned one munafiq, Allah speaks of them collectively because they are all the same and the allies of one another. Alama ibn Kasir rahmullah reports from Hazrat Hassan Basri rahmullah that whenever the munafiqeen were summoned to appear before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they would do so only when they were convinced that he would pass judgment in their favor. If they intended to usurp the property of another, they would decline from presenting themselves and would refer to issue to another person. Allah revealed the above verses with reference to them. Allah says, the munafiqeen say, we believe in Allah and the Messenger and we obey. Thereafter, a group from them turns away. These are not believers but hypocrites because their deeds betray their true identity. When they summon to Allah and His Messenger so that He may decide between them, a party from them are suddenly averse. They are averse because they know that they are at fault and that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would pass judgment against them. However, if any of their rights are due, they would come to him willingly. Their only objective is to attain the commodities of this world. Therefore, they will present themselves to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam only when they stand to benefit in this regard. Allah asks further, is there a disease in their hearts, that is the disbelief in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as being Allah's messenger? Are they doubtful or do they fear that Allah and His obstacles will oppress them? Nay, they are indeed the oppressors. None of the above is true, but the munafiqeen absent themselves because only they know that they are at fault. They merely intend to usurp the wealth of others. Verse number 51 and 52. إنما كان قول المؤمنين إذ دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا وأولئك هم المفلحون. When the believers are summoned to appear before Allah and His Messenger so that He may pass judgment between them, all they say is, we hear and we obey. These are the successful ones. وَمَنْ يُطِيعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَخْشَ اللَّهَ وَيَتَّقِيهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَائِزُونَ. The successful ones are those who obey Allah and His obstacles, who fear Allah and do not disobey Him. After describing the negative attitude of the munafiqeen, Allah depicts the opposite in the above verses. Allah speaks of the munafiqeen. He says, when the believers are summoned to appear before Allah and His Messenger so that He may pass judgment between them, all they say is, we hear and we obey. Allah declares these are the successful ones. The successful ones are those who obey Allah and His obstacle, who fear Allah and do not disobey Him. In this verse, Allah enumerates four qualities of the mu'mineen. Firstly, they never fail in obeying all Allah's commandments. Secondly, they obey the instructions issued by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These two attributes includes carrying out all the farais, wajibat and even the etiquettes and mustahabat of deen. It also includes abstaining from all the prohibitions forbidden in the Sharia. To emphasize this, Allah has added fearing Him and abstention from sin as additional quality exclusive to the mu'mineen. Being successful means that they will be rescued from Jahannam. Allah says in Surah Al Imran, whoever is saved from the fire and enter into Jannah shall truly be successful. Verse number 185. Allama Ibn Kasir quotes Hazrat Qatada Raziallahu Ta'ala anhu as saying that fear of Allah means that a person should be fearful of the consequences of his prevision sins, while the later sorry, while the later part of the verse disobey him refers to committing any future sins. Verse number 53 and 54. وَأَقْسَمُوا بِاللَّهِ جَهْدَ أَيْمَانِهِمْ لَإِنْ أَمَرْتَهُمْ لَيَخْرُجُنَّ قُلْ لَا تُقْسِمُوا طَاعَةٌ مَّعْرُوفَةٌ إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. They swear solemn oath in Allah's name, saying that if you command them, they will certainly leave their homes. Tell them, do not swear. Obedience can be recognized. Allah is surely informed of what you do. 54. قُلْ أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْهِ مَا حُمِّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَا حُمِّلْتُمْ وَإِن تُطِيعُوا تَهْتَدُوا وَمَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. Say, obey Allah and obey the messengers. If they turn away, then the messenger is responsible only for what he has entrusted with, and you people are responsible for what you have been entrusted with. If you obey, you will be rightly guided. The messenger is responsible only for clear propagation. Referring to the Munafiqeen, Allah says, they swear solemn oath in Allah's name, saying that if you command them, they will certainly leave their homes. This is the interpretation of Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, other commentators say that the oath refers to marching in jihad. Allah says, tell them, do not swear. Obedience can be recognized. This means that a person do not have to take an oath when he is sincere. Oaths betray a lack of sincerity, and the Munafiqeen were certainly false in these oaths. The Muslims knew that they merely offered lip service and would never uphold their oaths. Their true colors will be exposed on the inevitable day of judgment, because Allah is surely informed of what you do. Say to the Munafiqeen, obey Allah and obey the Messenger. If they turn away, then the Messenger will suffer no loss, because he is responsible only for what he has been entrusted with. That is propagation, and you people are responsible for what you have been entrusted with. That is obedience and submission. If you obey, you will be rightly guided. If not, you will suffer the consequences. The messenger is responsible for only for clear propagation. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has fulfilled his task, leaving people to fulfill theirs. Like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those after him are entrusted only with the same task and are not obligated to force people to respond. 55. وَأَدَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَا يَسْتَخْلِفَنَّهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ كَمَا اسْتَخْلَفَ فَالَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ وَلَيُمَكِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ دِينَهُمُ الَّذِي ارْتَضَىٰ لَهُمْ وَلَيُبَدِّلَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا يَعْبُدُونَنِي لَا يُشْرِكُونَ بي شيئا ومن كفر بعد ذلك فأولئك هم الفاسقون وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأطيعوا الرسول لعلكم ترحمون لا تحسبن الذين كفروا معجزين في الأرض ومأواهم نار ولبئس المصير. Allah has promised those of you who believe and do good deeds that He will definitely make them successors on earth, just as He had made those before them successors, and He will certainly grant strength to them in the Deen religion that He has chosen for them, and will certainly replace their fear with peace. They worship me and do not ascribe any as partner to myself. Those who are ungrateful thereafter are disobedient indeed. 56. Establish salah, pay zakah, and obey the messenger so that mercy may be shown to you. 57. Never think that the disbelievers can escape on earth. Their abode is Jahannam. What an evil return it will be. Malumat-e-Tanzil, Volume 3, page 353, reports from Hazrat Aliya Rahmullah that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam remained steadfast with the Sahaba Raziyallahu ta'ala anhum from the beginning of his nabihood. He endured untold sufferings at the hands of the mushrikeen and was forced to migrate to Medina. Even there, the Muslims were still at risk because, added to the danger of the mushrikeen, the Munafiqeen and the Jews were also antagonistic towards them. As a result, they were forced to remain armed at all times. This state of affairs caused someone to say, when will the day dawn when he will be at peace and not require our weapons? In response to this, Allah revealed the above verse, that is, Allah has promised those of you who believe and do good deeds that He will definitely make them successor on earth just as He had made those before them successor. Allah promised them that the time was near when He would grant them sovereignty on earth as He gave to Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam. Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam and the many leaders of the Bani Israel. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam once told the Bani Israel, O my people, remember Allah's bounty on you. When He raised messengers among you and made you king, He gave you what He never gave anyone in the entire universe. Surah Al-Ma'idah and the verse is 20. The realization of Allah's promises based on Iman and righteous deed, when the Sahaba Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhum compiled, they were afforded control on the entire Arabian Peninsula, including Iraq, Syria, etc., followed by conquests in Africa and Asia. They practiced Islam and made others to do same. Allah promises further that He will certainly grant strength to them in the deen for religion that He has chosen for them and will certainly replace their fear with peace. The Muslim lived in perpetual fear while in Mecca, then again in Medina. However, Allah soon alleviated their fears, thereby fulfilling His promise to them. Allah then says, they worship me and do not ascribe any as partner to myself. They neither commit shirk nor do they carry out deeds for any other besides Allah. After Allah fulfilled His promise to the Muslims, they grew lax. Their iman decreased. Their good deeds began to grind to a halt and they become lazy in their worship. They then began to lose control of the regions that they once ruled. They were overcome with fear and awe of the enemy and began to beg from the kuffar so that they may cling on the last threads of their territories. Even though Muslim countries occupy a vast area in Africa and Asia, they all lack true Muslim leaders. While some are ruled by the Shias, some others have adopted democracy and capitalism with the leaders who may be recognized as Muslims only because of their names. They pander to the dictates of the kuffar countries and are fighting other Muslim countries. Allah says to the Muslims, O you who believe, do not take as confident those besides your own people. These people would spare no pains to ruin you. They wish for that which causes you suffering. Enmity has been manifested from their tongues, but what their hearts conceal is far worse. Indeed, we have made the revelation clear to you if you will understand. As a result of disobeying Allah and receiving commands from the kuffar, the Muslim countries are extremely weak and terrified of the kuffar. After promising victory to the true Muslims, Allah says, those who are ungrateful, therefore, they are disobedient indeed. The word kuffar may be translated as disbelief and as gratitude, both may apply In this context, that is, the verse may read, those who are ungrateful, therefore, are those who disbelieve, therefore. The Muslim who is far from the commands of the Sharia and neglects all its injunctions in certainly a sinner, even though he may not be called a kafir. Allah will not assist a nation when such people be abound, because their only concern is for wealth and position. As a result, they are plunged into perpetual fear for the kuffar. All the Muslims need is unity in their beliefs and an Amirul Mumineen who adheres to the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah will definitely assist the Muslims if they all become practicing mu'mineen like their illustrious forefathers. Establish salah, pay zakah, and obey the messenger so that every mercy be shown to you. This verse spells out the recipe to attract Allah's mercy and assistance. It simply lies in following the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and practicing all the physical and financial acts of worship. It is tragic that the Muslims choose rather to follow those kuffar whom they know to be evil. Never think that the disbelievers can escape on earth. The kuffar will certainly have to suffer Allah's punishment when it strikes them. This will also come in the form of their deaths, which no person can escape. Therefore, thereafter their abode in Jahannam. What an evil return it will be. One of the sects of the Shias, calling themselves the Rawafis, claim to have excessive love for the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, they are really not happy with Allah. The Quran, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, and the illustrious Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhum in the above verse of Surah Nur. Allah clearly promises the Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhum that He will confer on them the favor of kingdom and authority. Even person knows that this promise was fulfilled during the reigns of Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and Hazrat Usman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. When Hazrat Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu rightly became the fourth righteous Khalifa, he never refuted the rule of previous three, and he never claimed that they usurped. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing the word correctly. His usurped. His right to the Khalifa, he continued in his role, closely emulating the precedent set by them. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the righteous Khalifa shall remain for 30 after him. Thereupon, upon the demise of Hazrat Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, his eldest son, Hazrat Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, continued as Khalifa for a few months until the expiry of the 30 years. He may also be included among the righteous Khalifas, but the term four righteous Khalifas has been popularly used. The Rawafis, on the other hand, say that the three Khalifa before Hazrat Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu were not even Muslims, let alone Khalifa, Allah forbids. By saying this, they are actually refuting the Quran. They claim that Hazrat Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is innocent of all sins like the Anbiya alayhi salam, and that he is their first Imam. The irony of their belief is that they say that he was afraid to proclaim his right to the Khalifa after the demise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By using so, they are actually claiming him coward. Allah forbids. They also say that he concealed the truth by serving under the three Khalifas. It is commonly knowledge that none of their Imam ever was Khalifa after Hazrat Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Therefore, it is amused that Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and Hazrat Usman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu were not Muslims. As they say, then it would mean that Allah's promise was never fulfilled. Allah forbids. When this is posed before these Shias, they say that it will be fulfilled when Hazrat Mehdi rahimullah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu appears. This is another of their disbelief. The verse clearly mentioned that the promise will be fulfilled to those of you, whereas no other verse of the Quran contains the phrase together with mention of Iman and the carrying out of the good deed. Never think that the disbelievers can escape on earth. This verse refers to all the kuffars until eternity. They are constantly plotting against the Muslims and leave no stone unturned to destroy the Muslims. However, it is certain that they will receive their just deserts in this world and especially in the hereafter. Verse number 58 and 59. يا أيها الذين آمنوا ليستأذنكم الذين ملكت أيمانكم والذين لم يبلغوا الحلم منكم ثلاث مرات من قبل صلاة الفجر وحين تضعون ثيابكم من ظهيرة ومن بعد صلوات العشاء ثلاث عورة لكم ليس عليكم ولا عليهم جناح بعدهن طوافون عليكم بعضكم على بعض كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات والله عليم حكيم. O you who believe, your slaves and your children who have not yet come of age must seek permission to entertain your room on 3 occasions: before the Fajr Salah, when you remove your clothes in the afternoon, and after the Isha Salah. These are 3 times of selection, seclusion for you. After these, there is no sin on yourself or on them. They often come and go from your presence and from the other. Thus does Allah elucidate injunctions to you. Allah is all knowing, the wise. 59. I think I haven't recited the verse. وإذا بلغ أطفال منكم الحلم فليستأذنوا كما استأذن الذين من قبلهم كذلك يبين الله لكم آيات والله عليم حكيم. When your children come of age, they should seek permission just as those before them seek permission. In this manner, Allah expounds His verses to you. Allah is all knowing, the wise. Verse 27 of this surah mentions seek permission to enter any home. That law applies especially to people who do not live in the same home. The above 2 verses apply to people who live in the same home and who are constantly in and out of the house. Allah says, O you who believe, your slaves and your children who have not yet come of age must seek permission to enter your room. On 3 occasions, especially these 3 times are before the Fajr Salah, when you remove your excess clothes in the afternoon, and after the Isha Salah. These are the 3 times of seclusion for you. These are times when people usually lie down to rest and want to relax without wearing excess clothing. Couples also usually use these times to lie down together. Permission must be sought before entering the room during these times to ensure privacy. Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas anhu reports that one afternoon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent an Ansari Sahabi radiyallahu ta'ala anhum to call Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. The Sahabi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu entered without seeking permission, and Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was upset because his clothes were disheveled. The above verse was then revealed. After these 3 times, there is no sin on yourself or on them if they enter without permission. This is permitted because they often come and go from your presence, one from the other. If they had to constantly seek permission to enter, it would be extremely difficult for all. Therefore, they may enter the house without permission at other times. Allah then says, thus does Allah sedate injunctions to you. Allah is all knowing, the wise. When your children come of age, they should seek permission just as those before them seek permission. After coming of age, these children should not think that they are still allowed to enter without permission. They are now adults and should seek permission to enter like all other adults. Allah repeats in the manner Allah expounds His words to you. Allah is all knowing, the wise. Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas ta'ala says that people have neglected three verses of the Quran. That is one, O you who believe, your slaves and your children who have not yet come of an age seek permission to enter to on these occasions. Two, when relatives, orphans, and other present themselves at the time of distributing inheritance, then grant them a portion. Narrated by Surah Nisa, verse number is 8. For 3, really the most honored among you is the one with the most taqwa. Verse number is 13. Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas ta'ala says that most people do not practice on these verses as if they do not believe therein. Whereas he would instruct even his slave woman to seek permission to enter during these times. Verse number 60. وقواعد من النساء التي لا يرجون نكاحا فليس عليهن جناح أن يضعن ثيابهن غير متبرجات بزينة وأن يستعففن خير لهن والله سميع عليم. There is no sin on those women who are sitting and have lost all hope of marriage if they remove their excess clothing on condition that they do not expose their charm. It is best if they obtain from this. Allah is all hearing, all knowing. The Arabic word qawaid, translated above as women who are sitting, refers to those women who are old and remain indoors. Such women, when they are past the age of marriage, are permitted to expose their faces to non-mahram men. However, the condition is that they do not expose their charms. Therefore, they may show only their faces and hands to these men, nothing more. Of course, it is best if they abstain from this. One can understand that if these old ladies are advised to rather now show their faces to non-mahram men, how can a young woman ever be permitted to do so? Verse number is 61. ليس على الأعمى حرج ولا على الأعرج حرج ولا على المريض حرج ولا على أنفسكم أن تأكلوا من بيوتكم أو بيوت آبائكم أو بيوت أمهاتكم أو بيوت إخوانكم أو بيوت أخواتكم أو بيوت أمامكم أو بيوت أماتكم أو بيوت أخوالكم أو بيوت خالاتكم أو ما ملكت ملكتم مفاتيحه أو صديقكم ليس عليكم جناح أن تأكلوا جميعا أو أشتاتا فإذا دخلتم بيوتا فسلموا على أنفسكم تحية من عند الله مباركة طيبة كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تعقلون. There is no harm for the blind, the paralyzed, the ill, or for yourself if you eat from your own homes or from the homes of your father, your mothers, your brothers, your sisters, your paternal uncles, your paternal aunts, your material uncles, your maternal uncles, your maternal aunts, the homes for which you possess the keys, and the homes of your friends. There is no harm if you eat collectively and individually. So when you enter any homes, then greet yourself as a prayer that has been ordained by Allah and which is blessed and pure. Thus Allah explained injunctions to you so that you understand. Malumat-e-Tanzil, Volume 3, page 358, reports from Hazrat Sayyid bin Jubair radiallahu ta'ala anhu that the blind and the paralyzed people used to think that people dislike eating with them. The blind seems to sense that people thought they ate more than others, while the paralyzed people feared that others may feel that they occupy the place of two persons. The above verse was therefore revealed in this regard. Hazrat Mujahid Rahimullah says that the verse was revealed to permit eating at the homes of those people mentioned in the verse. Whatever the circumstances of the revelation, the verse is clear that people may eat at the homes of those mentioned because they are all related and will not be offended when the others eats with them. In fact, these relationships are so close that the opposite party will be offended if the other does not eat their food. Therefore, no permission is necessary when a person wishes to eat from the homes of these relatives when he knows that they will not be offended therefore. The verse also informs us that handicapped people should not be excluded from social activities because of their physical impairment. Some commentators have mentioned that your own homes refers to the home of one children Jalalan, narrated by Jalal. It is food. If the food is purchased by one's aunts and sisters using their own money, one needs no permission to eat it. However, one cannot eat from it when the husbands of these relatives paid for the food and they would not be pleased to share it. The homes for which you possess the keys, Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas anhu, says that this part of the verse refers to caretakers, the guardians of property, that is, shepherds and those who tend orchards may eat and drink from the property that they oversee, milk, fruit, however. They may eat only what is necessary and may not take anything away with them. Other commentators say that this was referred to slaves because the slave and whatever he/she possesses belong to the matter who may use these as desired. Allah also permits that a person may eat from the homes of your friends. This refers only to close friends who will not be offended if a person eats their food. There is no harm if you eat collectively or individually. Malumat-e-Tanzil reports that some of the Ansar Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhum made up their mind, do not eat unless there was a guest with them. They would remain hungry if there was no guest to share their meal. Allah therefore permitted them to eat alone if no guest was available. So when you enter any homes, then greet yourself, that is the people of the household, as a prayer that has been ordained by Allah and which is blessed and pure. Instead of instructing that salam He made to the people of the household, Allah commands that salam He made to yourself. This denotes that all Muslims are like a single soul. Another wisdom behind this purchasing is that when a person prays for peace by greeting another, because salam is a prayer, the second person replies to the greeting by praying for the one who greeted. Therefore, the person greeting with salam is actually praying for himself. Hazrat Ans bin Malik ta'ala anhu reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you enter your homes, greet with salam because it is a blessing for yourself and for the members of your household, narrated by Mishkat, page 399. Hazrat Qatada Rahimullah narrates that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, greet the members of the household. When entering, then greet them with before taking leave. A detailed discussion of salam is given in the commentary of verse 86 of Surah Nisa, and the number of the surah is 4 in the Quran. Allah concludes this discussion by saying, thus does Allah explain injunctions to you so that you understand? Verse number 62 and 63. إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله وإذا كانوا معه على أمر جميع لم يذهبوا حتى يستأذنوا إن الذين يستأذنوك أولئك الذين يؤمنون بالله ورسوله وإذا استأذنوك لبعض شأنهم فأذن لما شئت منهم واستغفر لهم الله إن الله غفور رحيم. The believers are those who believe in Allah and His apostle, and when they are with Him in a collective matter, they do not depart until they have sought leave from Him. Verily, those who seek leave from you are the one who believe in Allah and His Messenger. So, when they seek leave from you to tend to some affair of theirs, then persist those of them whom you please and seek Allah's forgiveness for them. Verily, Allah is most forgiving, most merciful. لا تجعلوا دعاء الرسول بينكم كدعاء بعضكم بعضا قد يعلم الله الذين يتسللون منكم لواذا فليحذر الذين يخالفون عن أمره أن تصيبهم فتنة أو يصيبهم عذاب أليم. Do not make the calling of the messenger among yourself like your calling to each other. Allah certainly knows those of you who stealthily slip away. Those who oppose the messenger's command should be aware that some calamity or a gracious punishment should afflict them. Darul Mansour, Volume 5, page 60, reports that during the Battle of the Trench, the Quraysh camped near the Roma well, while the Bani Ghasfan tribe camped near Mount Uhud. However, they were unable to approach Medina because the Muslim had already dug the trench. While the digging was taking place, the Munafiqeen very reluctantly participated and could secretly steal away after doing very little work. However, the true Muslims assisted to the best of their ability and would leave only because of some genuine reason. Then too they would first take leave from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They would then return as soon as they had completed what they had to do. In the above verse, Allah describes this quality of the mu'mineen and exposes the munafiqeen for their ostentation and treachery. This is one of the many occasions where the hypocrisy of the munafiqeen is exposed in the Quran. The munafiqeen used to perform their salah, which extremely reluctant in a haphazard fashion, and found extremely difficulty in performing the Fajr and Isha salah. They performed their salah for show and would join the camping or jihad merely to cause trouble for the Muslims as mentioned in Surah Tawbah verse number 47. They were unable to conceal their true identities for long, and the Quran often exposed them for what they were. Describing another trait of theirs, Allah says in Surah Tawbah, whenever a surah is revealed, they look at each other saying, "Can anyone see you?" Then they turn away. Allah has turned their hearts away because they are nation who do not understand. Verse number is 1 to 7. The Marasil of Abu Dawud mentions that when any Sahaba Raziallah Ta'ala anhum wished to leave Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's gathering because of some reason like nose bleeding, he would indicate to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with his index finger. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would permit him using a gesture of the hand as the Sahabi Raziallah Ta'ala anhum left the Munafiqeen would use him as a screen to steal away themselves. About this, Allah revealed the verse, Allah certainly knows those of you who steadily slip away. All praises the munafiqeen in these verses. Allah also say, do not make the calling of the messenger among yourself like you are calling to each other. A person should respond immediately to the call of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When others call a person, he has to choice to respond. However, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called anyone, he had to respond. This was always the practice of the Sahaba Raziallah Ta'ala anhum even when they were called elsewhere. They would remain seated with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, permitting them leave. The Munafiqeen, however, looked for every opportunity to sneak away. When Allah instruct Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so when they seek leave from you to attend to some affair of theirs, then permit those of them whom you please. Although the Sahaba Raziallah Ta'ala anhum sought leave only when it was necessary, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was granted the authority to permit them if he willed. This was so because it was possible that they would come to harm if they left, or the matter did not really require immediate attention. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would therefore assess the situation before granting leave. After permitting them to leave, Allah instructs Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to seek Allah's forgiveness for them. Although the need may be urgent, but leaving the collective affairs of the Muslims mean that one is giving priority to one's personal matters over the matter of deen. Even though one may not be sinful for tending to one's need, the possibility did exist that the matter was not as urgent as it was thought to be. Allowing for this error in judgment, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was instructed to seek forgiveness to their behalf because really Allah is most forgiving, most merciful. Do you make the calling of the messenger among yourself like your calling to each other? Besides the interpretation mentioned above, commentators have also interpreted this verse to mean the people could not call Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as they call each other. If need be, they should be respectful and say, O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or O Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They should never say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah says in Surah Hujarat, O you who believe, never raise your voices above the voice of the messenger, and do not speak to them loudly as you speak loudly with each other, lest your deeds be laid to waste without you realizing. Verse 2. Those who oppose the messenger's command should be aware that some calamity in this world is a grievous punishment in the hereafter, should afflict them. This verse specifically addresses the Munafiqeen who thought nothing of their actions against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The verse may be translated to mean Allah's commands, but even when it is translated as the messenger's command, it would still denote Allah's commands, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded only what Allah commanded. Allah says in Surah Nisa, whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed Allah. Verse 80. Note number 1, Ulma mentioned that just as it was obligatory for the Sahaba Raziallah Ta'ala anhum to respond to the call of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Muslims in every era must respond to the call of those people who are in authority over them in the matter of deen. These include the Khalifa, the ulama, imams, principal of the religious institutions, trustees of masajid, those supervising conscription for jihad, etc. Note 2. Those who oppose the messenger's command should be aware that some calamity or a grievous punishment should afflict them. The jurists have deduced from this verse that a command denotes an obligatory action because punishment can be given only for neglecting something obligatory. However, the words of the verse are general and could pertain to all injunctions of deen. Therefore, whenever a general command is issued in the Quran and the Hadith, it will be treated as obligatory unless other reasons denote that it is not obligatory but sunnah, mustahab, etc. The actions of many Muslims are diametrically opposed to Allah's command merely because of domestic or social pressure when they are advised by the ulama. They get annoyed and want to contest the issue. The shaving of the beard is a good example for this. People who shave act in opposition to Allah's order are even prepared to dispute it. These are numerous other examples that also point to destruction, yet people are heedless about their faith in the hereafter. 64. Allah, this is also the last verse of Surah Nur. ألا إنا لله ما في السماوات والأرض قد يعلم ما أنتم عليه ويوم يرجعون عليه فينبئهم بما عملوا والله بكل شيء عليم. Lo, verily to Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth. Allah certainly knows your condition. On the day when they shall return to Him, He will inform them of what they did. Allah has knowledge of all things. This concluding verse of Surah Nur clearly announces to man, saying, Lo, verily to Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth. Whatever you do, you should remember that Allah certainly knows your condition. On the day of Qiyamah, when they shall return to Him, He will inform them of what they did. He will then grant them what is because of them, because Allah has knowledge of all things. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.